Hey, so I wanted to take a minute just to model for you how to use those counter manipulatives to model integer addition in your e-toolkit. So I've opened up ConnectEd, I've logged in, I've chosen that green button on the right side of my welcome screen, and here I am. I've typed a few problems on the screen for you. You don't need to do that as long as you have the problem either written down on another piece of paper or on another tab or screen that you can look at. You don't need to type them out here. They're just there for the purpose of the video. So if I come down to the bottom and I pick the e-tools, again, you're going to choose the counters. Once I do, it'll open this menu at the bottom that you see. You want to use the red and yellow counter option. Again, red's going to represent negative numbers, yellow's going to represent positive. I'm going to throw a bunch on the screen there. And I'm going to drag them up here as just a place to keep them. So as I showed you in a previous video, you can grab a bunch of those counters to delete them or trash them. You can also do the same thing if you want to move them around your screen a little bit. So that's what I've done here. So I have a bank of these to use for when I'm modeling my problems and I don't have to add more, anyway, here we go. So I'm going to grab 4 counters and I'm going to drag them over here. We're going to start with 4 plus 5. So this is the problem that you've probably been working with since kindergarten. They are both positive numbers. So I'm going to make sure that all of the chips that I'm grabbing, I flip them to yellow to represent a positive number. So that's my positive 4. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab 5 of them. I'm going to flip them to positive. And then all you need to do is use the counter manipulatives to count, see what I did there, the chips that are in front of you to reveal your answer. So you'll see 4 plus 5 gives you 9, but it's just a concrete model for us to understand that. Down here, you'll notice I have a problem that says -5 plus -11. So I'm going to grab 5 red chips to represent a negative value. And then I'm going to grab 11 red chips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This worked out perfectly before. Oh, let me get rid of these guys so they're not in your way. All right, so just to count those to make sure, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Again, nothing different than what you did at the first for the first problem. I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So the sum for -5 plus -11 is going to give me -16. This is where it gets a little interesting. So now we're going to be adding integers with different signs. So the first value that I have there is +6. So I'm going to grab 6 chips, not all of you. We'll make it work. I'm going to get rid of that one for later. Okay, I'm going to flip them all to positive because we're representing +6. And then I'm going to grab 4 negative chips from my bank over here, bring them over, and make sure that I line them up. So I have each one underneath the ones that I have already placed. Here, because I'm adding different signs, I am going to match up the 0 pairs and see what's left over. Okay, so just like when we were working with our algebra unit, to get rid of something on one side, I did the inverse operation to make that 0 pair. So +1 plus -1 is going to give me 0. So I'm going to do that with all of the pairs that I can create. Okay, so just like if I have $1 and then I spend it, I have 0. Or if I owe someone $1 and I pay them back, I now have a balance of 0. So here you'll notice what's left over is +2. So +6 plus -4 gives me +2. Also, if you look at it this way, you want to make sure that the integer with the higher absolute value is going to give the answer its sign. So a lot of students look at this problem when they get really savvy with the rules. They say, oh, they're different signs, so I'm going to subtract. Some of you might have learned a song in 5th grade that also taught you that. So different signs, I'm actually going to subtract their absolute values. 6 minus 4 gives me 2, but then the answer keeps a positive sign because 6 has the higher absolute value. For number 4 over here, I'm going to grab 5 chips and I'm going to leave them as red. And then I'm going to grab 2 chips and flip them to yellow to represent my +2. Again, you want to go ahead and make your 0 pairs. So negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. What's left over is my answer. So here you'll see you have 3 negative chips. So my answer will end up being negative 3. Okay? So again, higher absolute value will be 5. So therefore my answer gets that negative sign. So again, negative 3. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you're having any trouble with the manipulatives, again, another way to do this would be the number line that you saw in the previous video. Please make sure that you reach out to myself or Mr. Zerga if any of this was confusing. This is really the foundation for the entire unit. You need to know how to add integers so that you can later subtract integers. So please make sure you get help if you need it. Hope you're all well. Take care.